Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am VC Pramod and with me is Abhishek Mukhopadhyay with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi assures nation of providing clean energy by envisaging One Nation, One Gas Grid program. Supreme Court upholds the environmental clearance and notification for change in land use for the Central Vista project in the national capital. COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 96.32%. Met Department says 2020 was the 8th warmest year on record since 1901. And precautionary measures put in place in view of bird flu alert in Rajasthan, Himachal and Madhya Pradesh. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask. Maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing. Focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has assured the nation of providing clean energy by envisaging One Nation, One Gas Grid program.
Our energy agenda is all-inclusive. Since 2014, we have brought in various reforms across the oil and gas sector. These reforms cover exploration and production, natural gas marketing and distribution. We plan to achieve One Nation, One Gas Grid. We also want to shift to gas-based economy. The use of natural gas has several environmental benefits. The government is taking policy initiative to increase the share of natural gas in India's energy basket from 6% to 15%.
Virtually inaugurating the 450-kilometer-long natural gas pipeline from Kochi in Kerala to Mangaluru in Karnataka, the Prime Minister said his government has accelerated reforms in the oil and gas sector, improved accessibility of the renewable energy and completed infrastructure needs of the sector at a faster pace.
कोची मंगलुरु पाइपलाइन इस बात का बहुत बड़ा उदाहरण है कि विकास को प्राथमिकता देते हुए सभी मिलकर काम करें तो कोई भी लक्ष्य असंभव नहीं। ये प्रोजेक्ट से जुड़े लोग जानते हैं कि इंजीनियरिंग के लिहाज से इसे पूरा करना कितना मुश्किल था। प्रोजेक्ट में कई दिक्कतें भी आई, लेकिन हमारे श्रमिकों, हमारे इंजीनियरों, हमारे किसानों और राज्य सरकारों के सहयोग से ये पाइपलाइन पूरी हुई। कहने को ये सिर्फ एक पाइपलाइन है, लेकिन दोनों राज्यों के विकास को गति देने में इसकी बहुत बड़ी भूमिका होने वाली है।
The policy initiatives of his government, he said, has reduced dependency on kerosene in the states due to the increased usage of cooking gas. The Prime Minister informed that there were 24 crore LPG connections till 2014 and since then, in 6 years, 24 crore new connections were added.
एक बड़ी वजह रही कि कोरोना काल में देश में रसोई गैस की किल्लत कभी नहीं हुई। गरीब से गरीब को हम उस मुश्किल समय में करीब 12 करोड़ मुफ्त सिलेंडर उपलब्ध करा पाए। साथियों, सरकार के इन प्रयासों का, इतनी तेजी से किए जा रहे कार्यों का एक और प्रभाव हुआ है। इसकी चर्चा उतनी हो नहीं पाती। याद करिए, हमारे यहाँ केरोसिन को लेकर कितनी लंबी लंबी लाइनें लगा करती थी। आज जब रसोई के लिए गैस आसानी से मिल रही है तो केरोसिन की किल्लत भी कम हुई है।
Since the first natural gas pipeline was commissioned in 1987, only 15,000 kilometers of pipeline were laid in 27 years, and since 2014, in just 6 years, over 16,000 kilometers of new pipeline works have been taken up.
2014 तक यानी 27 साल 27 इयर्स में भारत में 15,000 किलोमीटर नेचुरल गैस पाइपलाइन बनी। आज देश भर में पूरब, पश्चिम, उत्तर, दक्षिण 16,000 किलोमीटर से ज्यादा नई गैस पाइपलाइन पर काम चल रहा है। ये काम अगले 4-6 साल में पूरा होने वाला है। आप कल्पना कर सकते हैं, जितना काम 27 वर्षों में हुआ, हम उससे ज्यादा काम उसके आधे समय में करने का लक्ष्य लेकर चल रहे हैं।
On the progress in the completion of CNG stations, the Prime Minister said that in 27 years, 900 CNG stations were made available, and since 2014, in just 6 years, 1,500 new CNG stations were built.
अब सरकार इस लक्ष्य पर काम कर रही है कि देश भर में सीएनजी स्टेशनों की संख्या को 10,000 तक पहुंचाया जाए। अभी जो ये पाइपलाइन कमीशन हुई है, ये भी केरला और कर्नाटका के अनेक शहरों में 700 सीएनजी स्टेशन खोलने में मदद करेगी।
On piped natural gas connections, he pointed out that till 2014 there were 25 lakh such connections, and since the last 6 years, 72 lakh piped natural gas connections were added up.
आज आप जिस भी फ्रंट पर देखें, हाईवे कनेक्टिविटी, रेलवे कनेक्टिविटी, मेट्रो कनेक्टिविटी, एयर कनेक्टिविटी, वाटर कनेक्टिविटी, डिजिटल कनेक्टिविटी या फिर गैस कनेक्टिविटी, भारत में जितना काम अभी हो रहा है, एक साथ इतने सभी क्षेत्रों में उतना पहले कभी नहीं हुआ।
The pipeline connection between Kochi and Mangaluru, he added, will help provide 21 lakh new pipe gas connections. On blending of ethanol with petrol, the Prime Minister said that the target is to add 20% ethanol with petrol in the next 10 years.
विंड और सोलर कंबाइन। इसी तरह आज देश में ही बायोफ्यूल्स पर बहुत बड़े स्तर पर काम चल रहा है। गन्ना हो या अन्य एग्रो प्रोडक्ट्स हो, इनसे इथेनॉल के निर्माण पर गंभीरता से काम किया जा रहा है। अगले 10 साल में पेट्रोल में होने वाली इथेनॉल ब्लेंडिंग को 20% तक करने का लक्ष्य रखा गया है। यही नहीं, इलेक्ट्रिक मोबिलिटी से जुड़े सेक्टर को, इसमें जुड़े इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को भी बहुत अधिक प्रोत्साहन दिया जा रहा है।
The Supreme Court, in a majority verdict today, gave its approval for the redevelopment of the new Central Vista project in the national capital. In its judgment, the apex court said the exercise of the power under the Delhi Development Authority (DDA) Act was valid, and the recommendations of environmental clearance by the Ministry of Environment proper. The three-judge bench hearing the case comprised Justices Dinesh Maheshwar, A.M. Khanwilkar, and Sanjeev Khanna. The Supreme Court also said that it also calls upon the Ministry of Environment to install smog towers in future projects, particularly in those cities where pollution is an issue. The apex court said in its judgment that the Heritage Conservation Committee approval needed when construction work is to begin. It also directed the project proponents to get approval from the Heritage Committee. The SC was hearing a batch of petitions that questioned whether the project complied with land use and environmental regulations peculiar to the area which houses the Parliament and Central Secretariat buildings. Earlier, the Supreme Court on 7th of December had allowed the foundation stone-laying ceremony for the new Parliament building, but on the 10th of December it directed that no construction should take place. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had laid the foundation stone and performed Bhumi Pujan for the construction of the new Parliament building, which is a part of the 20,000 crore rupees Central Vista project. Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri has welcomed the judgment of Supreme Court, giving the go-ahead for the ambitious Central Vista project. In a tweet, the minister said central government has always been sensitive to environmental concerns and will continue to adhere to the highest standards during the period of construction. He added that Delhi is on course to becoming a world-class capital city, and a new parliament building will be ready by the time nation completes 75 years of its independence in 2022. Suspicious cases of bird flu have been reported in 10 more districts in Rajasthan in the last 24 hours. Cases of bird deaths have been reported in 18 districts of the state so far. More from a Jaipur correspondent.
Deaths of crows and other birds have been reported in Hanumangarh, Nagaur, Banswara, Sikar, Savai Madhopur, Jaisalmer, Ajmer and Bhilwara districts. Samples from all these districts have been sent to Bhopal for investigation. In view of the increasing cases of bird flu, top government officials have come into action. Chief Secretary of the state, Niranjan Arya, will hold a meeting with top officials of the Animal Husbandry, Forest and Health Department this evening. Several important decisions are expected to be taken in the meeting. The government has started control room at the state level and all district headquarters. All the officials of the Forest Department and Health Department have been alerted by the government. Jitendra Dwivedi, AIR News, Jaipur.
In Himachal Pradesh, Kangra district administration has taken several precautionary measures after over 2,300 migratory birds which had recently died in Pong Dam were found infected with bird flu. Our correspondent reports that apprehension of avian influenza spread has forced the district administration to ban the sale and purchase of chicken, fish and other poultry-related items in 4 subdivisions of the district. The administration has also banned human activities within a kilometre radius of the Pong Dam and declared it alert zone. It may be recalled that in recent days, over 2,300 migratory birds, including endangered bar-headed goose, have been found dead in the Pong Dam Lake Sanctuary in Kangra district. Meanwhile, a communication of the ICAR National Institute of High Security Animal Diseases, NIHSAD, based in Bhopal, has confirmed all 5 bar-headed goose birds sent to it tested positive for H5N1 avian influenza virus in real-time RT-PCR tests. Earlier report from Indian Veterinary Research Institute, IVRI, in Bareilly in Uttar Pradesh also indicated that avian influenza may have killed the birds. In Madhya Pradesh, bird flu alert has been issued by Animal Husbandry Department after presence of the virus was reported in dead crows in Indore and more avian deaths in other districts. State Animal Husbandry Minister Prem Singh Patel said officials have been told to keep special watch on markets selling poultry and poultry products, farms, reservoirs and sites of migratory birds. More from our correspondent.
Animal Husbandry Minister of State Prem Singh Patel said that the state's rapid response team is setting up a control room in Indore where avian influenza bird flu has been detected in the samples of dead crows. So far, from December 23rd, the state witnessed deaths of 142 crows in Indore, 100 in Mandsaur, 112 in Agar Malwa, 13 in Khargone and 9 in Sihor district. Their samples were sent to the National Institute of High Security Animal Diseases in Bhopal for analysis. Indore Chief Medical and Health Officer Purnima Gadaria informed that earlier about 50 crows were found dead on the campus of Delhi College at Indore. They were found to be carrying the H5N8 virus. Pooja Pivardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
The central government held the 7th round of talks with the representatives of 41 farmers' unions at Vigyan Bhavan in New Delhi yesterday to address the issues concerning them. The meeting was attended by Union Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar, Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal and Minister of State for Commerce and Industry Som Prakash and representatives of various farmers' unions. At the outset of the meeting, a 2-minute silence was observed for those who had lost their lives during the agitation. Mr. Tomar said that keeping in mind the discussions during the previous meetings, the government is committed to finding solutions on farmers' issues with an open mind and both sides need to take steps forward to find a solution. Talking to reporters after the meeting, Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar said that the government wanted farmers' unions to discuss the 3 farm laws clause-wise, but they could not find any solution as farmers' unions remained adamant on the repeal of these 3 laws. Mr. Tomar said that the government and farmers' unions both decided to meet again for the next round of talks on the 8th of January for a further discussion to arrive at an amicable solution. Union Home Minister and BJP leader Amit Shah is scheduled to visit Chennai on the 14th of this month to attend the anniversary of Tughlaq magazine. The magazine is edited by Gurumurthy after the death of Cho Ramaswamy. The meeting, which falls on Pongal Day, is also expected to set a solid tone to the prevailing political atmosphere in the state as assembly elections are due this year. More from our correspondent.
The ruling AIA-DMK is an integral part of the NDA and the visit of Union Home Minister will formalize the direction of the poll alliance and might include the announcement of the chief ministerial candidate. This is the first time that AIA-DMK will face the assembly elections without the charismatic Amma. Political breeze has started blowing with ministers and leaders having public rallies and distributing welfare schemes. The opposition parties are also scheming out village meetings with the public, enlisting the alleged failures of the ruling government. Joy, AIR News, Chennai.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi assures nation of providing clean energy by envisaging One Nation, One Gas Grid program. Supreme Court upholds the environmental clearance and notification for change in land use for the Central Vista project in the national capital. COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 96.32%. Met Department says 2020 was the 8th warmest year on record since 1901. And precautionary measures put in place in view of bird flu alert in Rajasthan, Himachal and Madhya Pradesh. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on Twitter, handle @AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
The country's COVID-19 recovery rate has reached 96.32%. During the last 24 hours, a total of 29,091 COVID patients recovered. Health Ministry said the total number of recoveries has gone up to 99,75,958. The actual caseload currently comprises only 2.23% of the total positive cases. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is around 2,31,000. During the past 24 hours, 16,375 new cases were reported, taking the total number of positive cases in the country to over 1,03,56,000. The ministry said currently India's case fatality rate is at 1.45%, which is one of the lowest globally. During the last 24 hours, 201 deaths were reported, taking the toll to 1,49,850. According to the Indian Council of Medical Research, more than 8,96,000 tests were conducted during the last 24 hours. The total number of samples tested so far has reached 17 crore 65 lakh. Now we bring you our segment on FAQ to know more about COVID-19 vaccination.
Will COVID-19 vaccine be given to everyone simultaneously?
Government has identified high-risk groups to be vaccinated on priority. The first group includes healthcare and frontline workers. The second group will be persons over 50 years and persons with comorbid conditions. Subsequently, the vaccine will be made available to all others in need.
Will the vaccine be safe as it is being introduced in a short span of time?
Vaccines will be introduced in the country only after the regulatory bodies clear it, based on its safety and efficacy.
Is it mandatory to take the vaccine?
Vaccination for COVID-19 is voluntary. However, it is advisable to receive the complete schedule of COVID-19 vaccine for protecting oneself and limiting the spread of the disease.
Is it necessary for a COVID-recovered person to take the vaccine?
It is advisable to receive a complete schedule of the vaccine irrespective of the past history of infection, as it will help in developing a strong immune response.
Bharat Biotech Chief Managing Director Dr. Krishna Ella has slammed the criticism against the Indian vaccine for COVID-19, Covaxin, and its emergency approval. Addressing a virtual press conference last evening, he said the Covaxin developed by the Bharat Biotech Limited is in no way inferior to the other vaccines developed by the other countries like Pfizer. He said the efficacy data is not available right now and the third phase trial data will be revealed by February or March. Speaking about the criticism by many companies and media against the emergency approval given to Covaxin, he said the approvals have been granted on the basis of conditions set up at the Central Drug Standard Control Organization.
Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar today took a dig at Congress following his questioning to the nod to COVID-19 vaccine. In a tweet, Mr. Javadekar wondered what problem Congress has with the vaccine. He said they should instead have a problem with their leader. Earlier, some Congress leaders had questioned the drug regulator's approval for Bharat Biotech's Covaxin, saying the vaccine is yet to complete the final stage of human clinical trials. Karnataka Minister for Health and Medical Education, Dr. K. Sudhakar, has come forward to negate suspicion on Covaxin vaccine developed by Bharat Biotech. He has appealed as a fellow medical professional to refrain from unwarranted criticism, discrediting the hard work of the scientists involved in the development of the vaccine within the country. In a series of tweets today, the minister said that COVID-19 vaccine, Covaxin, developed within the country marks a significant milestone. He said that India, being one of the largest exporters of vaccine, and the world is looking up to India in the common fight against the global pandemic.
A total of 384 new confirmed cases of coronavirus infection were reported in Delhi during the last 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to over 6,27,000. Delhi government said that 6,11,970 people affected with coronavirus have been cured so far. In the last 24 hours, 727 people recovered and 12 deaths were reported in the city, taking the toll to 10,597. Presently, the total number of active cases in the national capital is 4,689. Yesterday, over 50,000 tests were conducted. Telangana reported 253 fresh COVID cases during the past 24 hours. With this, the total number of COVID cases reported in the state has gone up to 2,87,393. The state conducted over 42,000 tests yesterday. The recovery rate reported at 97.71%, with 317 more people recovering yesterday. This took the number of recovered people so far in the state to 2,81,400. The daily bulletin issued by the State Medical and Health Department stated that total 1,554 deaths reported so far, following 3 more persons succumbing to COVID and comorbidities during the past 24 hours.
A dry run for COVID-19 vaccination has been conducted in Uttar Pradesh today. Directing to conduct COVID vaccination work as per the guidelines of the Government of India, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has said that the dry run across the state today should be taken earnestly, as the exercise will help to administer actual vaccination smoothly and in an organized manner. More from a correspondent.
Additional Chief Secretary Health Amit Mohan Prasad said that the infection level of coronavirus in a state has reached the level on which it was 6 months back. Currently, there are 12,505 active COVID patients in a state, and in last 24 hours, only 714 new cases of COVID infection have surfaced. Currently, the recovery rate from COVID-19 in a state is 96.45%. State government has also made all arrangements for the dry run of COVID vaccination in all districts today. The dry run will be conducted at 6 places in every district, out of which 3 will be in rural and 3 will be in urban areas. Meanwhile, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has directed that starting from the first phase, the COVID vaccination should be taken up in adherence to the centre's guidelines. He also directed to ensure safe storage of vaccines, maintenance of cold chain and smooth transportation. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
In Bihar, 4,42,195 people have been registered for the first phase of COVID vaccination in the state. Health Minister Mangal Pandey said 65,000 health workers were identified for the immunization process. Mr. Pandey said the sites for vaccination have been selected and they will be similar to polling booths for voting in elections. He said cold chain equipment will be used at the district level in order to maintain the quality of Covishield and Covaxin. The minister said the state government had received over 980 equipments from the centre so far for storage of COVID-19 vaccines. With this, the total number of such equipment in the state has gone up to over 2,600. Mr. Pandey said district-wise cold chain managers have also been trained for each block.
In Uttar Pradesh, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has ordered to invoke National Security Act NSA against the engineer and contractor responsible for the Muradnagar roof collapse case. He is also directed to blacklist the contractor and impose penalty on him on whatever damage has been done in the incident. The Chief Minister had already sought a report on the incident from the Divisional Commissioner of Meerut and ADG Meerut Zone. He also announced today to provide ex gratia of 10 lakh rupees each to the families of the deceased and provide housing facility to those families who are homeless. Meanwhile, Ajay Tyagi, the contractor responsible for the construction of the gallery of the crematorium at Muradnagar in Ghaziabad district, has been arrested by police yesterday night. 25 people lost their lives in the incident and 13 were injured. Met Department has said that the year 2020 was the 8th warmest year on record since 1901. Issuing a statement on climate of India during 2020, IMD said 12 out of the 15 warmest years were during the recent 15 years spanning 2006 to 2020. The past decade was also the warmest decade on record. Rainfall over the country as a whole during the southwest monsoon season was above normal. During 2020, 5 cyclones were formed over the North Indian Ocean. These are Super Cyclonic Storm Ompun, various severe cyclonic storms Nivar and Gati, severe cyclonic storm Nisarg and cyclonic storm Burevi.
In Jammu and Kashmir, heavy snowfall has thrown normal life out of Jammu and Kashmir Valley. The Jammu-Srinagar National Highway continues to be closed for the third consecutive day. Landslides occurred on the highway at multiple places. Continuous snowfall is hampering restoration work and road has turned slippery. Hundreds of vehicles along highway are stranded. Srinagar city has also received season's first major snowfall, causing disruption in vehicular traffic and power supply. Authorities have deployed men and machinery to clear the roads and restore power supply in the areas it got disrupted due to snow. Met Department has predicted more snow in the next 24 hours.
Benchmark domestic stocks today snapped their record-setting rally in intraday trade amidst mixed global cues. Both stocks slipped marginally as the Sensex at the Bombay Stock Exchange remained above 48,000 mark, while the Nifty at the National Stock Exchange was trading above 14,000 level. The Sensex was trading 26 points down at 48,150 and the Nifty fell 20 points to 14,113 a short while ago. At the Forex market, the rupee weakened 12 paise to 73 rupees and 15 paise per US dollar in afternoon deals. The international jury for the 51st edition of the International Film Festival of India has been announced, with eminent filmmakers from across the world. Pablo Cesar of Argentina has been named as the chairman of the jury. The other jury members are Prasanna Vithagane of Sri Lanka, Abu Bakr Shauki of Austria, Priyadarshan of India and Rubaiyat Hussain of Bangladesh.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has announced a new national COVID-19 lockdown in England, instructing people to stay at home to contain a more contagious variant of the coronavirus. Non-essential shops and hospitality would have to remain closed, while primary and secondary schools would close from today. The announcement came yesterday, just hours after the government hailed Britain's success in becoming the first country to begin the rolling out of the vaccine developed by Oxford University and AstraZeneca against COVID-19. Johnson said a new, more contagious variant of the coronavirus was spreading at great speed and immediate action was needed to slow it down. Now let us take a look at the weather update for today. The national capital will have thunderstorm with rain. The minimum temperature is recorded at 13 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 20 degrees. Mumbai will have partly cloudy sky with temperature hovering between 20 and 29 degrees Celsius. In Chennai, the sky will be generally cloudy with moderate rain. The temperature will hover between 24 and 29 degrees Celsius. Kolkata sky will have mainly clear in the afternoon. The city observed a minimum temperature of 14 degrees Celsius, while the maximum temperature could reach 27 degrees. Srinagar will have moderate snow in the day. The temperature will hover between -1 degree Celsius and 3 degrees. In Jammu, the city will witness thunderstorm with rain. The minimum temperature was 12 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 20 degrees. The city will witness thunderstorm with rain. In Leh, there will be light snow. The minimum temperature was -10 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be around -1 degree. Gilgit will have moderate snow. The temperature will hover between -3 degrees to 9 degrees Celsius. Muzaffarabad will have thunderstorm with rain. The temperature will move between 4 and 11 degrees Celsius. Dehradun will have thunderstorm with hail. The temperature will hover between 14 and 22 degrees Celsius. The city will witness thunderstorm with rain. Chandigarh will have generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. The temperature is likely to hover between 14 and 22 degrees Celsius. In Hyderabad, the minimum temperature is 19 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 29 degrees. The city witnessed fog in the morning and will have partly cloudy sky later. Ahmedabad will have partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature was 11 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be around 28 degrees. Patna will have generally cloudy sky. The temperature will hover between 13 and 26 degrees Celsius. And in Guwahati, the minimum temperature was 11 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 27 degrees.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi assures nation of providing clean energy by envisaging One Nation, One Gas Grid program. Supreme Court upholds the environmental clearance and notification for change in land use for the Central Vista project in the national capital. COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 96.32%. Met Department says 2020 was the 8th warmest year on record since 1901. And precautionary measures put in place in view of bird flu alert in Rajasthan, Himachal and Madhya Pradesh. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the Midday News.